Ladies and gentlemen, since the inception of BEE, or broad-based black economic empowerment, we have been told by the ruling party, the ANC, that this is necessary. That BEE is the only policy that can redress the injustices of the past and can allow for a better and more inclusive economy for the future. Every single time anyone has tried to challenge this policy, it has been met with a stone wall by the ANC. Insofar back as under Thabo Mbeki, you had people like Tony Leon who wanted to debate the implementation of BEE and affirmative action, and Thabo Mbeki famously said he will not debate it, because to even debate with the DA would be to suggest to the country that the DA has something of merit to add to this, so they would not. The ANC has pretty much always dealt with any opposition to BEE in that manner. We will not discuss it, go away. Until recently, literally until 2025, when the DA finally came out with their new PEE, which is Poor Economic Empowerment. I don't think that's what they're calling the bill, but they should, because that's a better name, I think, than BEE, and we're already used to saying it, so it wouldn't be that hard for anyone to adapt. But once the DA did this, the ANC did something rather curious. Cyril Ramaphosa is asked about this, and he first says, as he is famous for, he has no idea that the DA tabled this motion or that the DA introduced this bill. He doesn't know what anyone is talking about. Our president, ladies and gentlemen, I would remind all of you that the intelligence services of South Africa is located in the presidency. That was a move that Cyril Ramaphosa himself made. And for a president that has direct access to the intelligence services of South Africa, he seems to never know what the hell is actually going on in our country. But anyways, after he said that he had no idea that the DA had tabled this bill, he said, hey, if the DA wants to discuss this, Parliament is the place to do it. We'd be happy to debate it. That was a significant sort of shift from the, no thanks, you can talk to yourself, we will not hear it. You see, that was the first time that the ANC kind of admitted that, hey, maybe BEE has not been that successful. Now, of course, the ANC is caught between a rock and a hard place, which is why, at the same time as knowing that BEE has broadly failed and the public opinion, and we'll get to public opinion in a second, has largely shifted towards sort of a very anti-BEE view or stance for the public, the ANC still has to double down on it. Take a look, for example, here at Fikile Mbalula, and this was from October the 26th of this year, where he said, anyone who wants for us to do away with BEE and affirmative action basically wants us to kill redress and close shop. We might be in a GNU with the DA, but we are not one. This is the official stance of the ANC. They do not support any replacement of the BEE. And yet, the ANC and Minister Parks Tau of Trade and Industries just announced that they will be doing a short-term as well as a long-term review of BEE in order to assess where BEE has failed, what they can do better, and how exactly they can implement or refine, in their words, the policy of BEE to benefit more people. Now, even in front of Parliament, Minister Parks Tau made it very clear that the ANC does stand behind BEE. The ANC wants BEE, but they also understand that these policies require constant review, constant redress. It's interesting, however, that for the last 18 years, the ANC did not understand that these policies require constant review and constant refinement, but now they are starting to understand it. And I think there's a big reason why. Take, for example, this survey from April 2024, where the Social Research Foundation asked 1,835 people, which, by the way, is demographically a significant enough number for you to get a general sense of what the public feels. Take a look at this poll, and you will very quickly see that the majority of South Africans do not, under any circumstances, agree with BEE anymore. So the first question that they asked people, which statement do you agree with? A future coalition government makes race-based appointments rules stricter so that only black people can be appointed as government officials. Or the opposite statement, where anyone can work for the government. And here you find that by race, you had the vast majority of every single race. So blue was the black vote, colored, Indians the green one, and purple is the white. And you will see that the second statement is agreed with most strongly across the board. Then you go down to education. And what's very interesting is that when you look at grade R to grade 7 education, now it's important to understand that when they say grade R to grade 7, it would refer to when they asked people what level of education had you completed. People who did not do high school would fall into grade R to grade 7. People who completed high school, grade 8 to grade 11, or rather matric, and then you have university graduates. The only group that largely favored the first statement, which is only black people should be allowed, was the grade R to grade 7, right? After that, the vast majority of people who at least had high school and more favored the second statement. We should not look at race, we should just look at merit for people to work in the government. Then they did it by party affiliation, and here you actually find something rather interesting. Across the board, ANC, DA, EFF, MK, and IFP all believed in the second statement. Appointments by the government should be merit-based, not race-based. Then they changed up the question. A future coalition government makes race-based procurement rules stricter so that only black-owned companies can win government tenders, or they don't care about race at all and they only give tenders to people who can actually do the work. And here you find once again that pretty much across the board, all races agree with the merit-based option, not with the BEE option. If you look at education, this is very interesting. From an education perspective, the people who are now even in primary school, so they didn't even have high school, all agree that when it comes to actual tenders, when it comes to actually doing business with the state, it should not matter what your race is. You should only care about whether or not the person can actually do the work. And that's true for all of the different racial groups. When they go by party affiliation, here you find that in the ANC camp, right, there's a significant margin of people who actually think, no, it should be based on race. And then for the IFP, you have the same thing. It doesn't shock me that the IFP actually voted this way. And the reason for it is the IFP very much is a Zulu party, and the Zulu are fiercely nationalistic. I'm pretty sure if they phrase that question, should only Zulus be working for the government, they would say yes, right? That would be a majority yes vote. But when you look at the rest of it, the DA, even the EFF, interestingly enough, EFF voters said that no, the government should literally just let people work who can actually do the job, and they shouldn't care about anything else. Then they ask this question. A future coalition government restricts what kind of business companies that are not majority black owned are able to conduct and with whom. Effectively, can a company that isn't BE compliant actually do the job? The second statement is a company shouldn't be required to do anything as long as they create jobs and add value to the economy. It should not matter whether they're BE compliant or not. And again, by race, every single race in South Africa is voting with just let them do business and let them create jobs. By education, again here, across the board, every single education level, everyone is very much in agreement with the second statement. And here you have by party affiliation, every single party overwhelmingly wants companies to just create value and create jobs. That's it. The Institute for Race Relations found the exact same thing when you dive into their study that was done, and I think this is more recent. Yeah, this is from November 26. They find that race is no longer structures SA's electorate's values or priorities. And the Institute of Race Relations has done multiple studies that basically echo this exact study here. South Africans, ordinary South Africans, have given up on BEE. They don't care about BEE anymore because BEE has ultimately not redressed anything. In spite of what the ANC continuously wants to tout, the ordinary citizen on the ground can look at their situation and say, hey, this clearly isn't working. For my own part, I fully understand why BEE in theory has been sort of implemented into South Africa and why a lot of people think that South Africa needs something like this. Let's be real. South Africa is an incredibly unequal country. And with all of this inequality, one wants to do something to fix it. I think by now it's kind of clear that BEE is not it. Now, I do think that the DA, and I've made a video on the DA's exact poor economic empowerment policy, so you can go watch that if you really want to know what that bill is all about. And I agree with a lot of stuff in that bill. The one place where I would make changes is I would take it away from being a system that prioritizes punishment to a system that prioritizes incentive. Make it so that companies who do implement poor economic empowerment actually benefit from that by, giving them tax incentives so that they pay less taxes. making sure that they use that money in order to fund schools, fund universities, fund trade schools, so that you get the education fixed. And through that system, I think you're going to start to fix a lot of the inequality that exists in South Africa today. Another thing that I would absolutely do is I would remove the 30% requirement for companies if they want to do business in South Africa, because that's just a tax on actually starting to do business here. And the vast majority of us cannot afford to buy 30% of companies that want to do business here. It's millions of dollars that you need to pay. So it will always only benefit a small group of already rich assholes, and it will not benefit the rest of us. So that I would just remove. There's no point to it. Companies that are coming to South Africa to do business here are creating jobs, and we need more jobs. And I don't see that particular element of BEE benefiting anyone. Now, here's where the ANC is caught between a rock and a hard place. You see, the ANC has spent the last 18 years telling everyone with ears to hear that this policy is transformation. This policy is the backbone of the strategies that the ANC has to redress the injustices of the past and to lift people out of poverty. If the ANC were to renege on BEE, if the ANC were to make changes that are too sweeping, and yes, BEE would require sweeping changes to actually be fixed, they would become a laughingstock. The EFF and the MK would destroy them in the political arena. The EFF would immediately say that the ANC just sold you out to white monopoly capitalists. They have made you slaves again to the white people in this country. You can just imagine the racism that's going to come out of Julius Malema, because Malema also understands that BEE didn't work. But remember, Malema benefits greatly from BEE. Zuma benefited and continues to benefit greatly from BEE. The other problem that the ANC has is that it's entrenched in their cadre structures. There's a ton of people, including the president of South Africa, that became very wealthy on the back of BEE. All of these pigs are eating. And if you suddenly said, hey, the troughs are closed, there is no more free food here, you would have a riot on your hands. So the ANC really have backed themselves into a corner, knowing that the vast majority of the public no longer agree with this policy, knowing that the policy isn't actually effective at doing anything, and the policy is directly contributing to the destruction of the ANC at the polls, but also they can't change it, because if they change it, it means their immediate destruction rather than their prolonged destruction. So effectively, the ANC caught between a rock and a hard place. I do not suspect that there's going to be any real movement on this issue. And then, of course, I would always argue that we need a return to faith. We need Christ at the center of everything that we do. And I urge every single one of you, if you have not yet today, pray. Open your Bible, read some, and pray. He wants to know you. He actually died for you so that he could have a relationship with you. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, that is my opinion. If you like what I do and you want more people to have access to the content that I make, please consider hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and sharing this video around with as many people as possible, because it genuinely does help. If you've watched until now, I want you to write in the comment section, go Bokke. First and foremost, because yes, go Bokke, but also it's going to confuse people who didn't watch till the end, because they're not going to understand what the hell does a BE video have to do with the Springboks, but we will know, and that will be funny. I don't know why I find that funny, but I do. Massive shout out and thank you to all of the patrons as well as the YouTube channel members for continuing to support this channel and making content like this one possible. Hit for patrons, the link is in the description down below. YouTube members, hit the join button right below this video. Any and all support is always super appreciated. As always, I'll see all of you in the next one. Peace.